Hey guys, Infinite Comic here. Today we're diving into one of the most intense and emotional arcs in comic book history, the final stand of Mark Grayson against Thragg, and the fate of the Viltrumites. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite comics. So without further ado, let's jump in. As the Viltrumite War reaches its final cataclysmic phase, Mark Grayson, his allies, and the remaining loyal Viltrumites brace for a last stand against Grand Regent Thragg and his army of hybrid offspring. The fate of the universe teeters on a knife's edge. The coalition of planets and Viltrumite loyalists, exhausted and battered, rally behind Mark, who is haunted by the loss of his brother Oliver, and the constant threat to his partner Eve and their daughter, Tara. The final assault is chaos incarnate. The Coalition and Viltrumite loyalists battle Thragg's monstrous hybrids and the deadly Ragnars. But Mark knows the war can only truly end if he faces Thragg himself. On the battlefield near the sun, Nolan leads the Viltrumites in a desperate assault against Thragg. The two titans clash in a brutal hand-to-hand fight, with Nolan giving everything he has despite his age and injuries. In a horrifying moment, Thragg impales Nolan and nearly tears him in half, leaving him mortally wounded before Mark's eyes. Mark, devastated and enraged, is forced to continue the fight, knowing his father's wounds are likely fatal. Elsewhere, Eve is overwhelmed by Thragg's hybrid children, especially the Ragnars. As she is pinned and near death, Anissa sees her in peril. In a moment of redemption, Anissa throws herself between Eve and the attacking Ragnar, suffering a mortal wound to save Eve's life. As she bleeds out, Eve tries desperately to use her powers to save her, but it's too late. In her final moments, Anissa apologizes for her past crimes, especially her assault on Mark, and expresses her love for her son, Marky. Mark and Thragg finally face each other, their personal enmity forged by years of betrayal and loss. Thragg, confident and merciless, even uses his own hybrid children as weapons, hurling them at Mark with such force that they explode on impact. Mark, battered but unbroken, refuses to let Thragg kill any more innocents. In a moment of desperate resolve, Mark grabs Thragg and launches them both into the sun. Inside the sun, the fight becomes a test of pure willpower and endurance. The unimaginable heat and radiation begin to burn away their flesh, exposing muscle and bone. Thragg, prideful and unprotected, relies solely on his Viltrumite resilience. Mark, however, receives a crucial lifeline. Robot, despite their complicated history, remotely sends a specially designed suit of armor to Mark. This armor is engineered to withstand the sun's extreme environment, buying Mark a few precious moments, slowing the rate at which his body is incinerated, and allowing him to keep fighting just a bit longer. The battle is savage and primal. Thragg breaks both of Mark's arms, but Mark refuses to let go. The pain is unimaginable, but Mark's determination is unbreakable. He pushes Thragg deeper into the sun's core, willing to sacrifice himself to end Thragg's reign of terror. As their bodies are reduced to near skeletal forms, Mark, in a final desperate act, lunges at Thragg and rips out his throat with his teeth. Thragg, the greatest Viltrumite tyrant, finally succumbs, his body consumed by the sun. Mark is left barely alive, floating on the sun's surface, his body ravaged almost beyond repair. At this critical moment, Alan the alien arrives and pulls Mark from the inferno, saving him from certain death. Without Robot's suit, Mark would have perished before the battle ended. Without Alan's timely intervention, he would have died after the fight was won. After the battle, Nolan is carried to the Coalition ship and placed in a medical bed. Mark, himself battered and recovering from his own battle, visits his father in his final moments. Nolan explains that his heart was fatally damaged by Thragg's attack. His Viltrumite healing factor cannot save him this time. Mark pleads with his father not to die, but Nolan, calm and resolute, uses his last moments to urge Mark to lead their people with compassion, to break the cycle of violence, and to guide the Viltrumites toward a better future. As Mark tries to protest, insisting he isn't ready, Nolan reassures him that his empathy and hope are exactly what the Viltrumites need. Mark realizes mid-conversation that his father has quietly passed away in the bed beside him, leaving him to mourn in solitude. With Thragg's death and the Viltrumite War finally over, Mark Grayson emerges as the strongest Viltrumite and the new leader of his people. But this victory is deeply bittersweet, marked by the loss of his father, Nolan, whose death aboard the ship after the battle becomes the catalyst for Mark's transformation from warrior to leader. Determined to honor his father's dying wish, Mark breaks the cycle of conquest and violence that had defined Viltrumite history for millennia. He leads his people into a new era, not as conquerors, but as protectors and peacekeepers throughout the galaxy. Mark's rule is marked by compassion, diplomacy, and a commitment to freedom. Alongside his wife, Adam Eve, who discovered her own immortality and stood by Mark's side as Empress, Mark builds a family and a legacy. Their daughter, Tara, grows up in this new era of peace. Mark also makes a conscious effort to repair and strengthen his bond with his son, Marky. Marky, the child Mark had with Anissa, initially struggles with his identity and his place in the world, given his complicated origins and the trauma surrounding his birth. Mark, recognizing the importance of acceptance and understanding, reaches out to Marky, guiding him with patience and empathy. Nolan's death aboard the ship after witnessing his son's greatest victory is the moment that transforms Invincible from a hero into a true leader and legend, forever changing the fate of the Viltrumites and the universe itself. Mark Grayson, the greatest Viltrumite warrior, will forever be invincible,